Good morning. We're breaking from our regular broadcast as we will be bringing you to the opening of this year's Association of National Olympic Committees plenary session, marking the 26th ANOC gathering. We'll be going live to COEX where the plenary session is about to kick off. Many officials are due to address the forum, including representatives from the South Korean government, for which we will be providing a simultaneous interpretation. The first to speak will be ANOC President Robin Mitchell. Now we go ahead to COEX and we'll tune in to the session.
Not take for granted just how significant and unique it is to host an event attended by representatives from nearly 200 countries. As a global NOC family, we are made up of so many different cultures and backgrounds. Across continents, we have different views and perspectives. And like families, we may not always agree. But as an international organization of 204 national Olympic committees, our strength comes in our diversity. It comes from an understanding that not everyone thinks in the same way we do, and that we are stronger when we work together. I look forward to this General Assembly, which will showcase our unity in diversity and demonstrate our openness to listening to and sharing views in a respectful and productive way. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, and our partners from the KSOC, the Seoul Metropolitan City, the national federations, and local sports councils. Thank you as well to the President of the IOC, Thomas Bach, and our friends from the IOC, International Federations, and Organizing Committee. And thanks to you, all of the NOCs. I wish you all a very productive General Assembly. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for your welcome message, Acting President Mitchell. May I now please invite Mr. Ki Hyung Lee, President of the Korean Sport and Olympic Committee, to come to the podium.
Your Excellency, President Yoon Suk-yeol, IOC President Thomas Bach, ANOC Acting President Robin Mitchell, Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism Park Bo-gyun, ANOC's delegate and friend of the sports family. It is a great honor for the Korean Sports and the Olympic Committee and me personally to hold the 26th ANOC General Assembly in Seoul. In particular, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to President Yoon for taking time to give us warm welcome and inspiration, despite his busy schedule. Also, I am grateful to the IOC President Thomas Bach and the ANOC Acting President Robin Mitchell and the delegate of the NOCs for traveling a long way to Seoul. I welcome you all. I would also like to express my gratitude to those attending virtually. This is the third ANOC General Assembly to be held in Seoul, following the 5th General Assembly in 1986 and the 15th edition in 2006. The General Assembly in 1986 served as a cornerstone for successful hosting of the 1988 Seoul Olympic Games, which contributed to upgrading Korea and sports to stand on the global stage. The General Assembly in 2006 was an opportunity for Korea to find a path for winter sports and laid a foundation to successfully host the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. International sports event Takeo Korea has hosted left us a valuable legacy. Korean people cherish the inherent value of sports. We enjoy sports and believe that we can build a better community through sports. In 2024, Korea will host the Gangwon Winter Youth Olympic Games. Along with the Youth Olympic Games, this General Assembly will certainly be a precious occasion to spread out Olympic movement and its value among people of Korea and of the world as well. I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to President Yoon for supporting the hosting of the Youth Olympic Games and also for the policy proclaimed by the new administration that guarantee sports as a basic right and ensure safe and affordable environment for all citizens to practice sport. Dear Olympic family, in the past 2 years, the entire world has experienced difficulty due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sports was not exempt, as it could not be inspired by a cheer because stand was empty. Competition was postponed or canceled. However, under the leadership of the IOC and with the solidarity among ANOCs, the Olympic movement has continued united in friendship and trust and overcame those difficulties. Such a valuable experience have given us a confidence that we are able to overcome any challenge or threat under the banner of the Olympic spirit. I hope that this General Assembly will provide us with another opportunity to address and overcome the current issue and further strengthen the spirit and value of the Olympic movement. Lastly, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Secretariat of the ANOC for its entire effort and to Seoul City and the Korean government for their support extended to us throughout preparation of the General Assembly. I wish you all fruitful meeting and a wonderful stay amid a beautiful autumn day in Korea. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Ki. Let us now please welcome the President of the International Olympic Committee, Mr. Thomas Bach, for his opening remarks.
Mr. President of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Acting President of ANOC, dear friends. It is a great pleasure indeed to see you all, or most of you, face to face, to being able to look into your eyes, to be able to hug you, and to be able to have a chat with you after all these many years of social distancing. It is also a great pleasure to have this opportunity here in Korea, in Seoul, this great Olympic city, and having got it started with this magnificent reception yesterday evening, which was a unique display of Korean culture, of Korean high tech and of modern and youthful sport. Altogether, what we could follow the culture and the Korean fairy tales on the screen, breaking as a pre-taste for Paris 2024, K-pop as an important factor of Korean culture of today, combined with the hospitality of our Korean friends. There I would like to express the sincere thanks to KSOC under the leadership of President Lee. It is also a great pleasure and honor to have President Yoon here with us, because it gives me the opportunity to tell you that President Yoon is a true friend and supporter of sport, in particular in Korea, but also of the entire Olympic movement. He is a man who is sharing and appreciating the values of sport, and who is sharing and supporting the contribution of sport to a healthy society. So you can feel really comfortable to have him here with us, and I think nobody can explain this better to you than himself, how much supportive he is to all of us. Let's have a good ANOC General Assembly all together. Let's enjoy this being together, and let's take yesterday's blend of sport and culture and this youthful approach also as a good omen for our General Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Bak. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the President of the Republic of Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk-yeol.
존경하는
Distinguished Acting President of ANOC Robin Mitchell, President and President of IOC Thomas Bach, and representatives of NOCs of each country and distinguished guests. I would like to sincerely welcome you to the 26th ANOC Seoul General Assembly. I would like to also express my gratitude to the sports leaders from each country who are joining us through the video. It is especially meaningful that ANOC General Assembly that discusses about the major current issues in the international sports is being held for the third time this year in Seoul, Korea, following 1986 and 2006. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to ANOC that is leading international sports together with the IOC and International Sports Federation and relevant personnel of NOCs of each country for all the efforts made. Distinguished global sports leaders, Korea has strived hard for a world peace while keeping continuous solidarity with the international community through the Olympics, which is a grand sports celebration. However, right now, pandemic, climate change, shift in the phenomenon due to power, and group infringement of human rights continue to threaten the freedom of global citizens and act as serious challenges to the collective efforts of the international society. However, I believe that we can overcome such threats and challenges based on Olympic spirit and promoting world peace. In order to continue the efforts of solidarity and freedom, we have to overcome such threats and challenges. So until now, IOC and ANOC has fully shown the efforts for solidarity and freedom, and the international society will have to gather all the strengths together so that we can continue. Distinguished global sports leaders, Korea conveyed the message of peace and harmony to the international community by successfully hosting the Seoul Olympics in 1988 and Pyeongchang Winter Olympics in 2018. Our citizens remember the touching moments that resonated with us while reaching out to the Olympic ideals of promoting world peace and fulfillment of people through sports deeply in our hearts. And our citizens are also very proud that we could contribute to the spirits of the Olympics. Moreover, the Korean government is systematically preserving and using the tangible and intangible Olympic legacy that Seoul and Pyeongchang Olympics have left to remember and to implement the spirits and values of the Olympics. Korea is now preparing the Olympics for the future generations based on such valuable experiences. On January 2024, Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics will be held in Korea, and it will be a venue for all global citizens and will promote world peace through sports by sharing the Olympic spirit with the youth. I hope all of the participants here will have interest and will provide support so that the Olympic spirits that we have guarded so preciously will be fully passed on to the future generations. Distinguished global sports leaders, spirit of freedom and solidarity that is pursued by the Korean government is no different from the Olympic spirits. We are making the best of efforts to embody the spirits of freedom and solidarity in all areas of sports, and we will also contribute to the international society through sports. Our government will also support the efforts of IOC and ANOC that contributed to the promotion of world peace. Once again, I would like to welcome you to the opening of the 26th ANOC General Assembly in Seoul, and I hope that we'll be able to reap fruitful results through this General Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for being with us this morning.
Now we continue with New Day at Arirang. Yet another North Korean provocation. Late Tuesday night, Pyongyang fired hundreds of artillery shells into maritime buffer zones separating the two Koreas. South Korea's military strongly condemned the latest military activity, calling it a clear violation of the September 19 military agreement. Our Shin Se-byuk starts us off.
North Korea fired artillery rounds that landed near the sea border between the two Koreas late on Tuesday. According to the South Joint Chief of Staff on Wednesday, Pyongyang fired some 100 shells into the West Sea from around 10 p.m. Tuesday. Another 150 rounds were fired into the East Sea an hour later. This move comes amid recent increased military action by the regime and only 4 days after their provocation last Friday. The JCS explained that the shells did not land in South Korea's territorial waters, but rather in maritime buffer zones. Those boundaries have been set up to ease military tension along the two Koreas' border areas. The South Korean military called Pyongyang's string of provocations a clear violation of the September 19th military agreement, signed in 2018 in an effort to build trust between the neighbors and put a stop to hostile military activity. The JCS urged the regime to halt actions that undermine the peace and stability of the Korean peninsula, as well as the international community. Meanwhile, Seoul said it is closely monitoring the North in coordination with the United States. North Korea's latest military action came just a day after South Korean troops began their annual 12-day Hoguk exercise on Monday, which has an unspecified number of U.S. troops taking part this year. Since late last month, North Korea has conducted an array of short and long-range missile and artillery launches. Pundits say this can be largely seen as an attempt by the regime to expand its weapons arsenal and gain leverage in future negotiations with its rivals. 신세벽, Arirang News.
Washington has reiterated its stance that U.S. forces stationed in South Korea is a sign of the robust defense of Seoul. When asked about the need for a permanent deployment of U.S. strategic assets to Seoul during a press briefing on Tuesday, Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Patrick Ryder explained that the USFK is a symbol of Washington's promise to defend the country. He added that there are over 28,000 U.S. soldiers in Korea who are dedicated to defending South Korea. Ryder also highlighted that the U.S. maintains a whole range of responses it may take, if necessary, against North Korean provocations, adding that the country will continue to monitor the situation on the peninsula closely. As North Korea's provocations reach new levels, Japan has joined the rush to impose extra sanctions. Tokyo's decision comes not long after Seoul and Washington issued unilateral measures. Han Sung-woo has the details.
Japan has decided to impose additional unilateral sanctions on North Korea by freezing the assets of 5 more organizations involved in the regime's nuclear and missile programs. According to Japan's foreign ministry on Tuesday, this includes North Korea's Ministry of Rocket Industry and several trading firms. In a briefing, Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno said the country cannot tolerate the regime's repeated provocations that threaten the peace and security of both Japan and the international community. The new measures follow a series of ballistic missile launches by the North since late September in what Pyongyang described as tactical nuclear drills, including an intermediate-range ballistic missile that flew over Japan for the first time in 5 years. South Korea, which earlier this month slapped its own fresh sanctions on 15 North Korean individuals and 16 organizations, responded with support.
Japan's announcement shows the strong and united will of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan to take firm action against North Korea's nuclear and missile development.
Seoul's foreign ministry also said the effectiveness of unilateral sanctions increases when nations in similar positions like South Korea, the U.S., and Japan cross-designate the same targets. Washington had also levied new sanctions against 2 North Korean individuals and 3 business entities this month. Han Sung-woo, Arirang News.
Seoul's foreign ministry expressed deep regret over Japanese officials' visit to the Yasukuni shrine, urging Tokyo to face up history and demonstrate humble introspection and genuine self-reflection. The comment came hours after a cross-party group of around 90 lawmakers visited the controversial site on Tuesday. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida sent a ritual offering this previous day. The Yasukuni Shrine is a site viewed by neighboring countries, including both Korea's, as a place that glorifies Japan's past militarism. It honors 2.5 million war dead, including 14 Class A war criminals. Ukraine is signaling that it is seeking to sever diplomatic relations with Iran after what they say is Tehran's deepening military support for Russia. Meanwhile, Ukraine is set to officially request defense supplies from Israel. Kim Yo-sun has more.
Ukraine's top diplomat says he has called on President Volodymyr Zelensky to cut the country's diplomatic ties with Iran. He explained that Tehran bears full responsibility for the destruction of their relations with Ukraine, taking into consideration the widespread destruction caused by Iran-made drones to the country's infrastructure, as well as human casualties. He then added that he has urged EU ministers to impose sanctions against Iran.
We've never taken an anti-Iranian stance, but after Iran became part of aggressive crimes and Russian crimes on our territory, we are taking a definite and honest position.
While Iran has denied supplying drones to Moscow, Iran-made so-called suicide drones were used in Russia's latest strikes against Ukraine. According to Ukrainian authorities, more than 70 people have been killed in the rocket and drone attacks since October 7th. They added that some 30% of the country's power stations had been destroyed in the past week or so. Parts of the capital city are without power and water following the latest strikes that took place on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Ukraine's foreign minister also explained Kyiv will send an official note to Israel requesting defense supplies.
Today, Ukraine will send an official note to the government of Israel asking it to immediately deliver air defense systems and begin cooperation so that Ukraine receives the necessary equipment.
While Israel has condemned Moscow's invasion of Ukraine and provided Kyiv with humanitarian relief, it has stopped short of also providing military support. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The annual college entrance exam is around the corner. Local authorities are working to make sure students can take the test in the best environment possible. Plans to prevent the spread of COVID-19 are announced, including protocol for infected test takers. Song Yu-jin has the details.
November is a big month for high school seniors here in South Korea. They'll be taking the Suneung, the annual college entrance exam, on November 17th. This is the third year for it to be taken during the pandemic. The country's education ministry on Tuesday announced some virus protocols for test takers. First, all high schools and designated test centers will be advised to fully turn to remote learning from November 14th, 3 days before the exam, to prevent a possible spread of the virus. And just like the past 2 years, there will be separate test sites for those infected with COVID-19. Those who test positive from November 11th will need to self-isolate for 7 days and take their tests at one of 108 designated schools. Until last year, confirmed cases were only allowed to take their tests in the hospital or at a treatment center where they had to remain until their self-isolation period ended. In addition, people who have serious COVID-19 symptoms will be taken to 24 designated medical centers to test there if they're feeling up to it. Those who show COVID-like symptoms without a positive test result will be assigned to separate classrooms. And to minimize any disruptions caused by the pandemic, the ministry will closely inspect the virus prevention efforts of facilities often visited by test takers, like cram schools and study cafes. This comes as South Korea is seeing a rise in COVID-19 infections. 33,248 cases were reported on Tuesday, more than double what was seen the week before. The daily virus tally has been showing an on-week increase for 5 straight days. There were 5 COVID-related deaths and 247 patients are critically ill. Song Yu-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea's antitrust authority plans to contain large platform firms in the country from further expanding their monopoly and unfairly restricting competition. A Fair Trade Commission official said Tuesday that the FTC is seeking to revise evaluation standards to prevent collusion in regards to the, quote, dominant expansion of platform businesses. The official added that the standards would take distinct features of the companies themselves, including their multiplicity, into greater consideration. The move follows disruption to Kakao services due to a database fire last weekend. Kakao provides a variety of lifestyle and financial services to its many users. The antitrust watchdog's current screening is based on individual products and services markets, and it plans to revise its evaluation standards in 2023. Digital Transformation Fair 2022. It's where participants can check out the latest tech applied in the machinery and equipment industry. Local giants showcase their products in exhibitions, while government awards were honored to insiders. Lee Dae-yeon takes us closer to the action.
The machinery and equipment industry is undergoing a digital transformation. At the Digital Transformation Fair 2022, South Korea's machinery giant Hyundai Tusan Infracore introduced a new type of crawler bulldozer with easy touchscreens and rear-view cameras. The DD100 with 130 horsepower will target the under 140 horsepower segment of the market.
We try to reflect consumers' needs. The new products that are on display at this event will be released in the fourth quarter of this year.
Meanwhile, LG Electronics unveiled an air-cooled inverter scroll heat pump. With high-pressure oil return technology, efficiency is increased when producing hot and cold water for heating and cooling. It can be used in industrial and large-scale public facilities like swimming pools and places like hotels. In the event's opening ceremony, the organizer, the first Vice Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Chang Yong-jin, reiterated the importance of increasing the value of South Korea's machinery and equipment industries.
The machinery and equipment are the foundation of every industry. To achieve private-led growth, the government will do its best to ease restrictions in order to adapt to the fourth industrial revolution.
To do this, the government pledged more support to the industry. This will include stabilizing major technologies, developing next-generation AI technology for manufacturing sectors, and expanding related businesses. Meanwhile, along with the opening ceremony, government awards were given to corporations and experts who have made notable contributions to the industry. The 4-day event will run through Friday with a variety of sectors, including digital manufacturing equipment, robotics, and smart factories, showcasing their latest products to lead a new era for the machinery and equipment industry. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
As we have been reporting, the South Korean government has vowed to put measures in place to ensure another service disruption doesn't happen, like that of Kakao's at the weekend. The company has found itself deeply ingrained into society, with people depending on it for communication, money transfer, paying for items, and taxi service, and even navigation. So how did one company become this big, and are there any other examples of a society being so completely dependent on a private company? We have Professor Kim Young-jin of Seoul Business School with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, what allowed Kakao to get this big with such a range of applications that have become an essential part of people's everyday lives in South Korea? Surely not many countries have big conglomerates such as Kakao, which have such significant impact on users, especially when it's down.
Right. It's a very unique case. But, first of all, let's think about the very nature of the platform business. Platform business relies on the network effect, which means, more people use the service or the platform, the value of it increases exponentially. And the winner takes all effect. And finally, the versatility of a platform in service provision and the revenue models. All these kind of characteristics, along with the nature of data, allows platform business to become monopolistic. Secondly, considering its nature of monopoly and the significance of impact, proper measures or regulatory measures, in a good sense, need to be introduced. However, Korean government protect this kind of platform businesses to fight against, global giant like Google, Amazon, and Uber. I think, these are the reasons we have the almighty conglomerate like Kakao in Korea.
So do you think naivety contributed to making the situation worse for Kakao? For example, Naver, which was also affected by the fire at the weekend, was able to avoid the scale of disruption seen by Kakao because of its second database.
No, actually, I don't think it is due to the lack of experience of Kakao. It is because Kakao did not stick to the very principle of data and platform business. When dealing with, important data and personal information as a platform, it is very basic to keep it safe and sound. For that, companies, should be equipped with or invest in proper infrastructure systems and utilities, and check the functionality frequently and closely monitor them so that they can deliver what they promise to customers to deliver. Kakao fails in this sense. However, Naver split, their services into several groups, and each group of business is supported by different data center or different systems. So one part of the center is malfunctioning. Still, other part of the business, which is backed up by other systems or different data centers, is still working. In addition, Naver built the backup systems which are working properly or effectively.
Right, and I think this situation has brought up a question. Will Kakao ever face competition in South Korea?
Well, just like cosmetic surgery, we can bring global platform companies like the Uber or Didi Chuxing, that kind of things. And also, theoretically speaking, absolutely yes. We'll see some other, entrepreneurs, bring a new solution for better communication and other services and transactions, than Kakao does. But it'll take time for us to see it. I believe that big companies always collapse because they cannot adapt themselves to new environment or technologies. So let's see.
Right, it's a private company, but it has brought such a big discussion among Koreans and people in South Korea recently. Well, thank you so much for your time, Professor, and I hope you have a great day.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
Now, for a look at the news from around the world, we turn to our Matthew Ashley, standing by at the Arirang newsroom as usual. Good morning.
Good morning, Doyon.
Well, let's start in the U.S., where a French cement firm has pleaded guilty to supporting terrorist groups. Tell us about this.
Well, that's right, Doyon. Cement manufacturer Lafarge will have to pay an almost $800 million fine after admitting on Tuesday to supporting both ISIS and al-Nusra Front. Now, according to prosecutors, Lafarge's Syrian branch paid $5.9 million to the terror groups in 2011, and this was to ensure continued operations of their plants and employee safety during the Syrian civil war. Now, the groups and the deal with the terrorist groups rather allowed the company to make $70.3 million in sales before the plant's evacuation in September 2014. Now, prosecutors said this is the first time that a company has admitted to supporting a terrorist organization in a U.S. court. Now, Lafarge has agreed to pay a $778 million penalty. A dual U.S. and Saudi national has reportedly been sentenced to 16 years in a Saudi Arabian prison. This for writing tweets critical of the government. According to his son, the 72-year-old Florida resident Saad Ibrahim al-Mahdi was arrested in November 2021 and sentenced in October this year. This while being kept in torture-like conditions. Now, his son says just 14 tweets, which were made while living in the U.S., were presented as final evidence in al-Mahdi's conviction. Some of the tweets in question highlighted concerns over the government's destruction of ancient neighborhoods, poverty in the country, and the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Saudi officials have not yet commented on the case. Now, Germany's cybersecurity chief has been fired over alleged connections to Russian spies. The Interior Ministry says it sacked Arne Schönbohm as president of the Federal Office for Information Security. This over a lack of public confidence in his leadership, considering the, quote, situation regarding Russian hybrid warfare. Investigations into the accusations are still ongoing. Now, local media reported that Schönbohm's Russian ties go back to before his government post, when he co-founded and ran the lobbying firm Cybersecurity Council Germany, which allegedly had connections to a Russian company founded by an ex-KGB employee. Cybersecurity Council Germany has denied the allegations and expelled the company in question. And then our final story, Rolls-Royce has unveiled its first electric car. The curtain was lifted on the new vehicle on Tuesday. Called the Spectre, the car took some 11 years to design and build. The British car maker says it's capable of covering distances of 420 kilometers on a single charge. It can also go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.5 seconds. The luxury EV comes with a price tag of roughly $400,000 US. It is expected to be released in late 2023. Rolls-Royce is aiming to have its lineup of vehicles be fully electric by 2030.
Good morning. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with the latest weather updates. Early winter-like conditions are anticipated to begin the day on Wednesday. Morning lows in the capital are slightly lower than the same time yesterday, meaning we are seeing the chilliest morning temperatures of this season so far, again in most parts of the country. But a warm-up is headed our way tomorrow afternoon. Even though this afternoon will be chilly, it's going to be a few degrees warmer than yesterday. I mean, it really was chilly and windy all day yesterday, even when the sun was up high. And this afternoon, highs will be 3 to 4 degrees lower than season norms. Seoul and Daejeon will be topping out at 17 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Gwangju will see a high at 18 degrees Celsius under sunny skies nationwide. Now, cold and flu activity levels are high to very high across Korea, so please take care not to calm down with a cold and drink plenty of water. Now, the nation is changing into vibrant autumn colors, and we will be seeing plenty of autumn sunshine and dry weather for the next few days, with the last autumnal term, Sanggang, coming on Sunday. With that, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
And that wraps up today's New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow for our Thursday's edition at the same time. Please stay with us for more updates throughout the day. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are, and take care.